And I think everyone is excited about this session, inshallah.
I am looking at
Alhamdulillah.
mentors you are presenting to us today. One cannot afford to miss this session.
At all.
So I guess we better start because I do not think the time will be enough
Okay. Now,
at the caliber of people you are talking to today.
yes, definitely. So now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I am Aziz Olatunde and I will be moderating today's session, inshallah. So, so yes, today we are going to be having the Meet Your Mentor session 2.0. The last time we had it, I'm sure we all had great reviews. And some people, this is the first time they're joining us and they're wondering why do we want you guys to meet our mentors? Well, we realize that even for previous members, it is important that we are reacquainted with our mentors and new members too. We should know our mentors, know their area of specialization, have knowledge of the present mentors because I mean, NGM is always bringing invaluable people on board to ensure that yes, um, we get to grow in our respective careers. So yes, so our present mentors too will be introduced to us so that we'll be able to like reach out to them with respect to our career progression, inshallah. Yep. So to dive in, but I'm tired of this. Can you move on to the next slide? Thank you. So basically, these are the mentors we'll be having on board today. We have Mr. Surakat, we have Dr. Tolha, we have Mr. Said Kolade, and we have Mr. Abdurrahman Abimajid. I'll be introducing their profile um, when they start to present each other. Ramtada, thank you. Okay, I've done this. Thank you. Next. So yes, this is our guide to ensure that we properly delve into this acquaintance meeting. So we know they will introduce themselves, we know their background, their area of expertise, and any other relevant information. We know their career journey, the challenges they have faced, the lessons they learned, one major mistakes that impacted their career negatively, and a strategic decision they made that propelled their journeys, Bismillah. So that's next. All right, so we have the honor of our OO1, our daddy, opening the session for us today, inshallah. Engineer Nancy Giwa, for people that don't know him, is the coordinator of Boa Refinery and Petrochemical Limited, and is our grand mentor of the NGM community. So, Daddy, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you very much, Aziza. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brothers and sisters. I hope
Hey,
you've had a wonderful weekend, and I wish everyone a productive and prosperous week ahead. So, let me start by reiterating that NGM platform, as we all know it, is a mentorship platform for students as well as early and middle stage career professionals who aspire to be leaders, entrepreneurs, and business executives. The promise we made to all of you, the covenant we made, is that NGN community will equip you with the tools, the resources, and network that will empower your decision and aid in us to accelerate your personal and professional development journey. To do that, we have been organizing various programs, and one of the resources we are putting or laying before you or giving you opportunity is the availability of our mentors. They are our special and exclusive result, exclusively available to mentees on Nigerian platform. Last month, we unveiled the first set of our mentors to enable you know them better and make the best use of them. Today, we are we have before you another set of mentors that will be presenting to you their journey and that part of their journey that are worth reciprocating and those that are worth avoiding. You do not have to reinvent the wheel and or what the popular saying that it is not rocket science to be successful in life. We just need to take smart decisions. We need to be in the midst of smart people. We need to be in the midst of people who will propel us, who will encourage us, who will motivate us. NGM has provided this opportunity and we want to make it easily available to everyone. And today, please listen carefully. Let's make it a participatory event today. Ask the necessary questions. And after today, you have the opportunity of contacting the mentors. They are always available for your um, for all the needs that you might have in terms of questions, in terms of those things in life that you need to have clarification on. They have gone through the journey and therefore they've, you can easily walk through the path that has been cleared for you. You don't need to go and walk through the bush when the path has, when someone has already cleared the path. So make the best use of it and pray to Allah to bless it. So I wish us a wonderful session today, and I want to especially thank all our mentors that are participating in this session today. May Allah reward you all and take it from you as an act of ibadah. Jazakumullah khairan. And Aziza, thank you for moderating this, and thanks to every member of the LE team. Jazakumullah khairan. Over to you, Aziza.
Thank you so much, Daddy. So yes, just like Daddy said, why do you have to go through the bush when you could have just like learned how to navigate it from someone that's cleared the bush once before? So yes, we are here to learn from amazing set of personalities. Get your notepad. You may be wondering that what do you have to learn about them? But trust me, experience is indeed the best teacher. Don't think it's a niche, it's a cliche, what's it called? Phrase. So next slide, but I'm tired. So yes, the first person we'll be having is Mr. Surakat
Kude
Kude Imbu. Hey,
Imbu. Kude Imbu.
Kude Imbu. Okay, thank you so much, sir. So I'm so sorry, please, Mr. Surakat. So he's an investment executive at Green Angel Investors. Wow, what are those that has business here? Come and learn, oh, investment opportunities. So we'll be having him. Mr. Surakat, are you here? Yes, he's here. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you all very much for having me, and it's great to see so many of you on here. And yes, thanks very much for the introduction as well, Azizat, and it's great work as well with the mentorship group, and thank you very much, Alhaji Giwa. But I guess to kick off, I guess maybe just by way of introduction, I currently work as an investment executive at Green Angel Ventures. We are a UK-based investment firm that focus on companies that are focused on tackling climate change, usually at the early stage. So, which I can touch upon later, but this is a stage where maybe you've had your very first investment from people close to you, your family and friends. You've tested out the idea, it seems to be working, and you now want to go out and get more money to help you grow this venture, grow your business to a stage of maybe start generating revenue from initial first sales, or maybe just the stage of commercializing this, getting your business to a commercial ready state. So I have a background in core engineering background, initially mechanical engineering, and following that studied petroleum engineering, and done additional works in areas in biomedical engineering and project management as well. I'd worked earlier on the entrepreneurship side of things. So I'd been a founder, I'd been part of a founding team. We'd worked on developing new technology out of university that we were commercializing, looking to solve looking to solve a problem and looking to see how this idea we have, rather than it just being sitting away in a lab doing nothing, how can we actually commercialize this and bring this and take this to market for people to use. I thoroughly enjoyed that. There were ups and downs, a lot of learning, a lot of learning, especially when a lot of you are doing it for the very first time. You're going out into kind of the unknown, I would say. But there was a lot of lessons learned. We grew. We built a team. We'd made mistakes. We'd had some good successes as well. But along that journey, we'd had to raise investment. We had to speak to investors. We had to understand what they were looking for from us as a company. Why would they invest in us? Why were they not investing in us? And I thought I really enjoyed this. And rather than just focusing on just one company, I'm quite inquisitive. I like new technologies. I like new innovations. I actually think I might be better being at the other side of things, being on the investor side rather than being on the entrepreneurship side of things, where I can then pick up and see what are those companies that are really going to make a difference. Where is the new innovative technologies coming from? What do they need in terms of support? So I can find those ones, and then we can back them with investment, with support to help them grow, help them maximize their impact, which is what I've been doing over the last 2 or so years at Green Angel Ventures. Um, yes, I think that's really me in terms of major mistakes. I'd say a key mistake is not planning adequately, which is, I would say, for a lot of entrepreneurs, is maybe not planning strategically, not having I guess maybe plan B or plan C, which is strategies. It's a common mistake because you really fully focus and fully believe in what you're doing. It's a and we want you to be, you should be full conviction in what you're doing. But however, you need to be able to have other avenues to pivot as well. So make sure that there are other avenues that you might move into if you face a roadblock, ways you can meander through that roadblock, even though you are fully focused and fully committed to that path you're taking. But make sure that you do have ways that you can maybe step back and reroute, because sometimes that route, maybe if you put in 95, 100% into it, there are other things that might not align that could then end up causing affecting, I guess in some cases, killing the business or killing what you're trying to develop and trying to grow. But yeah, that's in the way of kind of an introduction. That's really me. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that brief introduction. While you were talking, I noted down some points. Number one, you said that you should have full conviction in what you're doing. And I was curious that, okay, when you started the business that you mentioned you and your friends started while you were in school, was that a master's or BSc?
So the very first company I was involved, we kicked that off during my master's. So while wrapping up my master's, that was the very first company. Yes, and following that, the other one was almost nearly just straight up after that. But we were still based out of the university, so we were taking technology out of the university to commercialize it.
Like, okay, do you still run the business or
So no, I'm no longer involved in the company, in the business. I'm
but
now
it
on
still
the other
exists?
side.
You're no longer involved, but it still exists, sir.
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
the company still exists, but I'm no longer involved in any kind
That's
of
good.
side of things.
Okay, another question I have for you is how were you able to like navigate from petroleum engineering to investment industry? Like, what did you do? How easy was the transition for you?
Yeah, so it might, I would say, well, I think one thing maybe to start off with to say is that if only being an investor does not necessarily mean you need to have, let's say, a finance background or a specific um, background in a certain area, because in the investment space you're investing in multiple different kind of technologies, different softwares, hardware. So you have within the investment space people with backgrounds in courses such as psychology, interested in things like English literature, or you do have a lot of engineers as well. Because if you're going to invest in, let's say, a technology in terms of deep science, deep technology, you want people who can really understand this technology. So I guess in my case, an advantage I have is that I've been an engineer. I've been on the engineering side, so that allows me to understand the technologies that we're potentially going to invest in, allows me to really dig deeper into it and see, is the intellectual property they claim to have, is this actually what it says it is? Does this actually work? But at the very beginning, you need to actually make sure that what you're being told exists, is actually going to work and do what it says it does. So I think having an engineering background provided an advantage in that sense, and just generally being inquisitive as well really helps in that side. In order to transition, I had the opportunity to have been on some courses at the time, which provided training in terms of becoming investor ready. So knowing what we should as a company aim to get to in order to be investor ready. So we had to go out and try and raise money from investors, and that meant that you're speaking to investors, you know what they're looking for. So it allowed me to say, when moving on to the other side, I knew what investors were looking for, so I could then look for that in companies as well. So that helped in terms of that transition. I hope that helps.
Okay. Yes, yes, that is very, very fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. So, from what you said, I took out the point that you have to ensure you have adequate plans and whatever business it is that you're trying to delve into, leverage on innovative technology, have full conviction in what you're doing, be inquisitive, take relevant courses into whatever career path you're trying to like navigate into. I want to ask this question on behalf of NGM members because I know quite brilliant people that we have on the platform that are currently building some things like Ibrahim Salami, Absalam. So I'm sure they would love to ask as well that what do you think investors are looking for in business? How can they, Okay, some people are raising their hands up for questions. Please, can you drop it in the chat box? Thank you so much, Omani and Mohammed. Thank you. So, as I was saying, what do you think investors are looking for in business? How can they get themselves ready to pitch their business to investors? Thank you.
So it depends at the stage of what the business is, but I'll take things from maybe an early stage. In terms of early stage, what we would look for as an investor in business. I think the core thing we usually look for is the team. So when we look at a team, is this the team that's really going to make this work? Are they committed to this? Is there clear conviction in there? So are these people who are going to be problem solvers? If things get tough, can they really react to that? But also within the team, especially at the early stage, there has to be people who are either subject matter experts, if this is let's say within deep tech, for example, so people who really understand this technology that they have. But you need a mix of skills. So whatever that business is that you're having, you need to have within the team people who truly have who have that sector expertise of what the business is cover of what the business is focused on and what the business is is looking to do. But I would also say, I guess, sometimes just also you need to come across as a people who are just not going to take no. And also being open and willing to take feedback. So if you're given feedback, being able to go back and work on it. And when I say don't take no, is more if somebody gives you a no, you need to ask them, where is that no coming from? What can I do to work on this to improve and be better and work on that and come back to them? Because that makes them know you're willing to listen, you're willing to act, and you're willing to make to take on the advice and work on it. Because you do come across a number of companies who maybe you saw them a year and a half ago, they just weren't ready, but they took on the advice you gave them, worked on it, and came back and they were ready to go, and some of the companies were actually flourishing because, as well as in the early stages, the people that you're going to work with quite closely. When you invest in a company, you're not just going to invest in them and sit back. You need to know these are people you're going to work with quite closely. So you need to make sure that they are going to be a good fit. So people that you're going to enjoy working with as well.
Thank you so much. So, what Mohammed said, I already asked his question. Thank you. So, now to take note of the points you mentioned, you have to ensure you have problem like your whatever it is you're working on, your idea, it has to be solving a problem. You have to have experts on your team. You should be willing to take feedback and be willing to act on it. So don't take no for an answer because you want the reasons for the no so that you can act on those reasons. Thank you so much, sir. It's a very, very delightful pleasure to hear from you today and to learn from your experience. Is
Yeah,
that not fair?
thank you very much for having me, Aziza.
Now you're welcome. So to the next person, Madam Tado. Now, we'll be having Dr. Tolha Folorunsho. He's a lecturer in Federal University of Technology, Mina. Dr. Tolha, are you here? Oh, okay. I guess it's
Yes, I
not.
am Aziza.
Oh, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Why consider
Yes,
to
I
sir?
am.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problems.
All
Okay,
right. Thank you
Assalamu
so much, sir.
alaikum.
Why consider to
Okay,
But I'm thought of it, that's right. Yeah.
okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay,
Why consider to sir?
okay, so because I am in Mina and the network is somewhat not so strong, I'm just going to turn off my camera. So I'm sorry about that. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I am Tolha Folorunsho. Okay, I am Abiodun Tolha Folorunsho by name, and I work with the Federal University of Technology, Mina. I am in the Department of Mechatronics Engineering. And in addition to being in the Department of Mechatronics Engineering, I am also a core staff at the Entrepreneurship Center of the university. In addition to that, I am also a core member and a deputy director at the International Center for Emerging Technology. So, in addition to being at the Center for Emerging Technology, I'm also one of the team leads at the Advanced Engineering Innovation Research Group of the university. So, the research group is actually a core group in the university, and it's primarily has in the sense that the research group belongs to a group of persons led by Professor Ibinu and myself, and I think we have 6 other team leads in the research group. So basically, my background centers around mechatronics engineering, which includes development of mechatronics related products, as well as control systems design. But majorly, I major into precision agriculture, which has to do with we using technology to improve the lives of people as it regards to agriculture. So basically, we develop products that surrounds agriculture. So career if I had not studied engineering, what would I have studied? I would have studied agriculture. And because I do not have the capacity to turn back the hands of clock, I decided to major in precision agriculture, which has to do with agriculture in sense. So 85% of my time in school, I work with those in the agric. So career, I had the opportunity of growing up in Port Harcourt. I think okay, my parents were okay, not my parents. My dad was a soldier, and which means that he has to move from one barracks to the other. So I had the opportunity of traveling from Lagos to Benin to different barracks, and I ended up in the Port Harcourt barracks, and where I finished from Amide Secondary School. I know many persons on this call knows the school already, and thereafter I proceeded to Lautech, Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, where I studied electronics engineering. From there, I proceeded to Malaysia to study mechatronics engineering. Upon my return, I joined the Federal University of Technology, where I majoring in control and precision agriculture. So my journey so far, I think that's a very allergist permission to go along. And Daddy, do I have your permission, sir? Okay, I think it's not on the call. Okay, so this my journey actually started from my work experience actually started from when I was in 400 level placement, and I'd been in Lagos just trying to look for a standard firm to do my internship, but I couldn't get that, and I just had to retire. Getting to Port Harcourt, my in-law told me that someone is waiting for me, and guess who that person is? That's Alaji Giwa, and I think I first MGM. Then we don't call ourselves MGN, we call ourselves Omo DMD. So what does DMD means? DMD means a Deputy Managing Director and director of Siemens. So we had this group of young people with him then. And I must say, the computer I know today has been taught by Alaji at close of work. He will have us stand behind him while he's doing. You don't ask the question, you just observe what he's doing. And the following day, he will have to pass you the same thing to repeat. So I had the privilege of working with him, starting my career. And I think one in my growing up and up till now was the fact that I did not have a mentor on time. And when I had, I actually did fail to use them on time. So I'll give you an instance. During my NYSC days, I was actually posted to the core north. And while working there, I was actually posted to the school, but I was more or less involved with construction. That's when I learned and uh, and electrical electronics, the electrical systems services design. So then, because I'd worked with Alaji while he was in solar turbine, of experience with regards solar turbines and turbines generally. So General Electric was coming into Nigeria. So I saw the call and I just did applied and I was shortlisted. But lo and behold, after receiving the mail, stupid me, yes, I didn't tell Alaji and I didn't tell anyone. I just did send them an email that thank you very much for finding me worthy for to be interviewed. But I'm sorry, I don't know how this goes, but I'm still a core member. I don't know how to go about it to redeploy from Jigawa down to Lagos and the rest. And immediately the HR told me, thank you very much. I told her, I'm sorry, your journey had to stop here because we have a company policy that states that we cannot employ a Nigerian without having completed the NYC. I think that was one of the greatest mistake I made. And to be sincere, till today, I still regret, but I think I need to look forward, and which I have done. So the sad part is when I got back to Port Harcourt after my NYSC, and I did saw plenty persons that we did serve then working with General Electric, and they were saying they were expecting me to be on the team. And in fact, they saw my CV and the rest. So what happened? I was actually ashamed to tell them the blunder I've committed. And it was then I told Alaji, and I realized that I had mentors and I didn't actually use them. So moving forward, I think my first job thereafter was also given to me on a platter of gold by Alaji, and I worked with him for 6 months thereabout before joining Saipem, where I worked for 2 years. So why did I leave Saipem? I left Saipem because I felt what I was doing. I never understood what I was doing. And I think still again, I never talked to people. I kept what I was doing to myself. I never knew what I was doing was a career path on its own. And what was I doing? I was actually working as a quality control engineer, but I felt having gone to school, study electrical engineering, and coming into QA and QC, I never knew it was a path. So I wanted more than what I was doing. So based on that, I left. I left for Malaysia to study mechatronics engineering. So when I got to Malaysia studying mechatronics engineering, I discovered the fact that there was a career path in the QC I left. Regret wanted to step in, but I just needed to forge ahead because I knew the future is better off what I've left behind. So, but the question now will be, how did I get to Malaysia? So while working with Saipem, I say I distinguished myself knowingly or unknowingly out of the background that my parents had trained me well. I feel there was no job that we will say I'm a graduate, I can't do or something like that. So we in our home we were forced to do basically everything, even the shitty jobs you will have to do. You can't say you are the eldest, you are the youngest, something like that. So while working with Saipem, I met some bunch of a group of people within the QC corner. They were all Malaysians, and they were like, "Okay, Tolha, I think if you want to study, Malaysia is one of the very good countries, and the rest like that." Then I saw only the UK, the US, and Saudi Arabia as an open alternative for me. But when I spoke to the Malaysians, I discovered that I could actually attend the best university in Malaysia with half of the funds I needed to apply or I needed to study in the UK. So that was how I ended up in Malaysia. And having studied mechatronics engineering, upon my return to the country, I discovered that I was more or less like hot cake. I had entries from like four universities and one company, the same company I was working for before I left. So my thinking was, I've left QC, I've left QC for good. So that was how I got myself into the Federal University of Technology, Mina. Upon getting to the Federal University of Technology, Mina, personally, I had beefs with many of my lecturers in school uh, because I felt greeting them and the rest like that was too big. I just want to go to my class and have my way, and I was also religiously discriminated while in school, so I never wanted to have anything with them. So I thought everything they do in the university is all about teaching. I never understood that there are more to the teaching. So I wholeheartedly accepted the offer to become a lecturer at the Department of Mechatronics, Department of Computer Engineering. So, but there was a clause to my appointment, and it was stated that once the Department of Mechatronics Engineering is to be floated, I will have to be moved from my current department. They didn't want to lose me. I never knew what I had. So I joined the Department of Computer Engineering. So along the loop, I was moved to mechatronics engineering. Fast forward, here I am today. I was made to do my PhD in school here in Mina here. Alhamdulillah, I'd finished and I am currently here. So if I do not do the conventional thing that we do in school, they do in academia, you don't teach, you don't do R&D. What have I been involved in? Actually been actively involved in consultancy. Remember, I did mention about our research group called the Advanced Engineering Innovation Research Group, AEIRG for short. So basically, that group is more or less a consulting group. So over the years and still till now, we've been consulting for the Nigerian for the military. I would say for the defense industry. And we've also been consulting for small startups and very big companies also too. And we've also been attracting national and international grants. I think I can confidently say that the research group in the university is one of the richest. So before now, we used to be the richest until someone got the World Bank grant, I think of a billion USD for the African Center of Excellence in Food Mycotoxin. So they pushed us down to the second richest research group in the university. So we are the second richest research group in the university. So if I do not I am not doing anything that has to do with R&D, teaching, and the rest. So what am I doing? I'm actually doing what we call acadopreneurship, which has to do with converting all what we do in the academia into business. So far, I and my professor, we've co-founded a company called Artificial Intelligence for Clean Energy Limited, AI for CE Limited. So that has been our spin-off vehicle for all our R&D commercialization process and the rest. And through that spin-off, we've also been able to support many startups and upcoming companies in Nigeria. And we have collaborations with companies such as Unicorn. If we know Unicorn, Unicorn was the company that launched the first humanoid robot in Nigeria called Umeife. And other than that, we've also been working with Gastric Eyes. Agile Eyes is a UK-based company. And other than that, I have also been actively startups with with my students. Currently, we have what we call the Jeka Eat. Jeka Eat is it's more or less like a logistic platform where their foods, and we can actually pick those food from any restaurants within the university and outside the university, and will deliver to you within 10 minutes. I think that's a brief about me, and I think I will have to close like this. Okay, I in the barrack. I'm basically a barrack boy, but why didn't I join the army? I feel I am scared to war, people carrying guns and the rest. And why did this fear come in? I think my dad, not that I think I know, my dad actually had, okay, growing up, I used to see his arm full of bullet shots. And that didn't scare me because I wasn't there when it happened. But when I think I was growing up, I was supposed to go to the Nigerian Defense Academy, no, the Nigerian Military School Zaria, and my dad had to travel to Liberia. They were the fifth set, so I missed that, and I just had to cross my mind because I didn't go to NMS. I don't want to do anything with army. When I was in SS2, I still fell in love with the occupation and wanted to proceed. Again, he came back and he went again to Liberia. Upon his return, I went to the Sea Dock to welcome him, and lo and behold, I passed beside my father. I could not recognize him. He could not recognize me. And somebody now saw me and said, Abiodun, who are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for my father. Can't you see that's your father that passed? And then I vowed that, okay, I wasn't going to have anything to do with the army again. But as Allah will have it, now I work. One of our major customer now is the Nigerian military, and the guns I've been scared of. I think I have the opportunity to always be with the guns The thing, their uniform, I'm scared of. I think I'm always being. So bottom line is, as human, we'll be scared of some things that will end up being what we will live, what we will find our means of living with. And I think we'll just have to hold the bull by the horn and just face it. So do I have other challenges? Yes, I still I still suffer from imposter syndrome, and I think I'm working hard to fix that. So that is me in brief with regards to my career journey. Thank you very much for giving this platform. And I think I've been looking for the opportunity so far to appreciate Daddy publicly. Most persons don't know. Daddy is more or less like my father. When I had no father, he stood by me. When I had no mother, he stood by me. And I think he's the only thing I have that I still appreciate. Thank you very much, Daddy, for believing in me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. Wow, like I'm awestruck. This is very, very fantastic, to be honest. Like, there's more to what the eye can see. Let's just have it because according to the bio, what we just have that is a lecturer at the Federal University of Mina, and I'm like, And in addition, I didn't end. Voila, it is really, really impressive. Thank you so much, sir. Like, I've learned a lot from your experience, and I have a few questions before I wrap it up with you. So, my first question is, how were you able to balance all of these things together? I mean, agriculture, research, lecturing, technology, everything. How were you able to like balance these positions and effectively show up for them adequately? Like, okay, yes, I have to show up for this completely. We have to do this research. It must have been a lot. So, how did you do that, sir?
Okay, so basically, to be sincere with you, if this is not the platform where we will say, okay, I have to, báwo la ṣe máa ń fi ẹ̀kọ́ tọ́nà fúnra wa. I don't understand Yoruba very well. So, but I gbọ́dọ̀ fi ẹ̀kọ́ tọ́nà fúnra wa ń bí. If I say I am balancing, to be sincere with you, I am not balancing. So the only thing I do is just to give priority to one more than one, and the other time I create priority for the other one, and the rest like that. So there's nothing like balancing. One will suffer for the other at some instance, and the other will suffer for some at the other instance. So in our team, on our team, I think that's the way we live. We do not have a Saturday, we do not have a Sunday, and we do not have a time we say, this is a time for family, this is a time for work. All time is for work, all time is for family. And yes, that's just the way I've been living my life for till now. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. So, but Abdulrashid said that balance is a myth. Make reasonable sacrifice instead, and I agree with that. My second question is, like most Nigerian students, let's say Gen Z, at the moment, none of us, I doubt, like if you bring people even in the education department, none of them is interested in teaching, right? And it's really, really nice to know that you combine all this while being a lecturer. So how were you able to, like, number one, my first question, what inspired you to teach? Yes, let's start from that. And this next question is this question someone sent, that what can you say about education sector in Nigeria, and also the old ulabalua with ASU and government? How did you deal with it? Yes, how did you survive? Because hey, lecturers in other places is going to tell on our marks.
Okay, so the inspiration to teach, I think, just as I said earlier, happened as a result of being naive, thinking when you get into the academia, it's all about you teaching, trying to change the narrative because you were not taught well. Your lecturers had this in mind, had that in mind, and rest like that. So, inspiration to teach actually came in from school, universities to be specific. I started organizing tutorials, and I think from my 200 level, till I got my call-up letter. I was a core tutorial master for the MSSN in school back then. So, and I felt, okay, well, if I can teach somebody to change the narrative the way my professor had taught or the teachers had taught there, because then in school, they do tell us that they will give us 25%, and we are left to look for the 75% by ourselves. So that made majority of us just try force ourselves to read and the rest like that. So my going into academics was just I want to change that narrative, and I think till now that's still been my inspiration to say, okay, to be sincere, there are times that I just look alone, and I needed to just say, okay, by next month I am leaving. And then you look at what you've done, the people that see you and they are happy because they are seeing you, people that have also lost hope in their academics, in their study, in their thing. And when you surface, they are happy and their hopes become rekindled, and you just see, okay, I'll continue. But is the pay good? To be sincere, the pay is very bad, and it's just you wanting to change the narrative, wanting to contribute your own quota, and also probably as a Muslim, Sadaqah to Jariyah. Indeed, in Nigeria, the reward of lecturers are actually in heaven. You don't want me to expose a lot of secrets on the call now because the pay is absolutely very poor. So how did I navigate during ASU? Okay, I must clarify this. I am an ASU member because as an academic in a public university, you do not have the will to say you do not belong to ASU. So ASU is more or less like, as an engineer, we all belong to the Nigerian Society of Engineers, right? So as a lecturer in public university, you belong to the academic staff union of university. Sorry, yes, you belong to the academic staff union of university. So that's ASU for you. So do I believe in everything they do? No, I do not. But do I see sense in some of the things they do? Yes, I see some of the sense in the thing they do. And what are some of the things I do not subscribe with? I personally feel education should be paid for, but ASU's view is education in Nigeria should be free because the government has enough money to sponsor education. But for me, I am on the contrary view because you don't want education to be free and you still want your welfare to be taken care of. So probably education still being free, that's why our welfare is not being taken care of. So how did I navigate the entire 8 month strike and the rest? So because we had a spin-off company, so everything we just had to do was Iwe, we closed all the books and we fell into the spin-off company. Yeah, Aziza, over to you.
Thank you very much for your answer, sir. So I learned a lot. Number one, don't do just one thing. Guys, hold on to this. Imagine you being a lecturer and as you just say that you're not going to get 8 months salary. What will you do? So and government rather. So don't do just one thing. And again, normal people usually say this, that know something about everything and know everything about something. And as we all know, Muslims, we should always try to achieve excellence, and we should ensure we always tie our career goals to pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I mean he said that one their rewards is in heaven because the pay is not enough. And again, have good attitude to work, because when he mentioned that he was working in a particular place where he has some Malaysians there, and they advised him to just go and study in Malaysia. It is because of his attitude to work. That was why he was able to get those opportunities. So ensure strive for excellence, basically. Yep. Thank you very much, sir. Really, it was an insightful session with you. Is that
Thank you very much. Why are coming here?
Yep. Next. Oh, someone is saying Mr. Talha has been a great mentor. Thank you. So yes, the next person we have is Mr. Abdulrahman Abdulmajid. He's a business relations consultant at Loeb Law Companies Limited. Sir, are you with us?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, I am
No,
with you.
why concerned We are so pleased to have you, sir. So
Alhamdulillah.
yes,
I'm pleased to be here as well.
thank you. So this is the guide. Would love you to introduce yourself. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Um Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala ali wa ashabi wa sallim. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the world, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Allah is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. I always like to stress that at the beginning of any talk I try to give, especially when I remember, because it's one attribute of Allah that I like to associate myself with, because my name is Abdurrahman. To start the introduction, most people that know me and relate with me call me Sheikh, because it's a name that my parents and I believe their friends sort of gave me. It's a name that stuck. So rarely do people call me Abdurrahman except in formal uh, gatherings, right? Most people just call me Sheikh. So if you see someone calling me Abdurrahman, it means they're either angry with me, like when my wife wants to scold me, or my mom, right? Or they don't know me that well, right? So who is Sheikh? That's how I would like to begin the conversation. Sheikh is the second of five kids. Okay, I can see my brother smiling. He's also on this call. There's Abdurrahim Abdul Majid is also on this call. He's my younger brother, the one immediately after me, and we look very much alike. So sometimes, but our let me digress a bit. And that's something about me, right? I typically go on a tangent a lot because I talk a lot and I enjoy talking, right? So please bear with me. But let me ask this: how many minutes do I have, so that I don't just take the time of every other person?
20 minutes, sir.
30 minutes, okay. All right.
Okay, let's start now.
That's
I'll start
sorry,
counting now. Like, let's start counting the 20 minutes
30
now.
minutes, okay.
20.
20 minutes, okay. Two
Yes,
zero,
thank you, sir.
okay. Thank you for that. All right. So I'm the second of five children, the first son of my parents. And of course, what that meant is leadership started very, very early for me. I would give an instance that sort of drove that home for me. When we were young, I think when I was around maybe 11, my elder sister was not much older than I was at the time. My folks were not around. We only had our grandma looking after us. My mom was out of the country. My dad was at work, and we were staying in an area. It's called Shangisha. I think it's very close to Magodo. I don't know if it's still there now, but I believe it should still be. Then armed robbers came around one particular night, and we had a standing rule in my house then that every time it is 7 p.m., right, the door is shut and nobody goes in or out, except, of course, for our parents, right? So if you're our best friend, if you're our imam, if you're our anybody, nobody goes in or out after 7 p.m. and the door is locked. We did not have burglary on our doors at the time, anyways. So this night, armed robbers came in, and of course, they went to the other. We're staying on the first floor of a three-story building, or was it a two-story building? Jeje is here, Abdurrahim. He would probably be chipping in one or two things if I make mistakes. And of course, let me also say that some of the things I'll be saying is based on how I remember them now. the accuracy might not be 100%, but please indulge me. Now, so when those guys came, those wicked people, they went to the first floor. Of course, they went in, made their way in. They came to our floor, right? And then they came and they knocked on the door. And the typical trick is you knock on the door, have someone open it so that you have easy access, so that you don't, hint all the other people that something is happening. So they knocked on our door and said they wanted to see somebody. We said, no, you cannot come in. It's too late to come in, right? My grandma at the time was in her late 80s, right? So it was somebody who was in her late 80s and kids who were in their very early teens. So they went and got a security man. And he came upstairs and said, oh, these are your people from the video club where you always rent Yoruba movies and stuff like that. They just want to come and ask for something. We said, the law is nobody goes in or out. And I remember what my sister did at the time. She just stood and said, we are not opening this door no matter what. My grandma said, and I'll speak Yoruba a bit. Àwọn èrò yín ló fẹ́ wá gba nǹkan. Ṣebí fídíò tẹ́ máa lọ wò lọ́dọ̀ wọn ní kíní kan. My sister said, no, the law is the law. We will not open this door. That day, the armed robbers made it into all the houses, at least the ones without burglary proof, except for our house that day. And that stayed with me because we called the police, who were not too far away. They said they did not have bullets in their guns, and there was no fuel in the car to drive down. They were walking distance. It wasn't too far away from our house. The OPC people at the time came a bit late, and we did not have lights. The next morning, we saw that they had injured our security man. The man said they came with there were about 15 of them, right? And each one of them had at least 2 guns. And they came in, and they said we were lucky that if we had held out long enough, they probably would have broken the door. But as Allah will have it, it did not happen, right? We all stood our grounds. My brother, my younger brother, reminded me that I stood in front of them and I was shouting that, go back, we are not going to open this door. I didn't remember it. They reminded me. But the point I'm trying to make is that leadership started very, very early, because we knew that, number one, we had to be responsible for all 5 of us, right? And we also knew from that point in time that, the world does not give you room to be young. When you need to make bold decisions, you make them, right? So let me go back into myself now. So I studied electrical and electronics engineering from the University of Sunderland. I actually schooled in Malaysia, so maybe Mr. Tolha, maybe perhaps we met somewhere at some point. I don't know when it was there. I was there between 2007 and 2011 till the end of 2011-ish, right? And then I went to the UK for my master's, where I studied sustainable energy systems. That was at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. When I left, I worked with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers in Nigeria, for about 6 years. In that time, I was in the capital projects and infrastructure team. And our mandate was to deliver on projects capital intensive in the power space, real estate, and transport space. Of course, we did projects in other areas as well, telecommunications. In fact, my first project was in telecommunications. We did things in the healthcare space and a few other things. Our focus was largely from the commercial side of things, but the engineering expertise and the knowledge of project management and things like that came to the fore. Then, after spending 6 years at PwC, I chose to relocate from Nigeria, and then I moved to Canada, right? Because for me, I never believed in Nigerian dream. I still don't think there is anything called a Nigerian dream, right? And I'll get back to that in a in a minute. Because again, I mean, the bulk of my adult life, besides the time I worked at PwC, was spent outside Nigeria. So it meant that, you know, some of the things that an average everyday Nigerians would see, I probably will not see it. And it's not because I don't want to, it's because I just don't have that I don't have that exposure to see those things, right? So when I got to Canada, it was a bit of a transition. I joined Loblaws, right, working as a business relations consultant. Essentially, it's just a fancy name for, you know, helping people with their day-to-day activities. But currently, I work with the government of Canada, right? And it's not on my LinkedIn profile for a specific reason. The people I work with are very, very confidential. Of course, some people don't care about that, right? So they don't like it when you put those things sometimes on LinkedIn at the time you are doing it. So let's say, for example, tomorrow I get promoted to a different role. I'll probably put my old role there for the interim. That way, if there's any leak or breach, it will not, you know, it's unlikely that somebody can, you know, take advantage of some of the access I have to do some things. So that's why you still see business relations on my LinkedIn profile. Do I still work with Loblaws? Yes, in a different capacity, in a very, very relaxed capacity, because it's not strange to do multiple jobs when you're outside Nigeria at the same time. So let me go to the second. Okay, I think I've addressed the first one, the introduction, the background, and my areas of expertise. With regards to challenges faced, right? I would say the challenges faced I would group them into different stages. When I was and I'll start very early on because I'm fairly young, right? I'm in my 30s. So you know, when I was told I was going to be on the mentorship platform today, I was like, okay, what will I be saying? Because, you know, my journey is literally just starting as well. However, let me go back to the first phase I said I would break it to. So challenge number one for me was, you know, moving from, I would say, primary school to secondary school, right? When I was in primary school, I was top of my class. At least at the time I was living in primary 5, right? And most people during my era did not do primary 6. They would just stop at primary 5 and just go to do common entrance and secondary school. So we're changing from one school to another school, right? And we went and did our entrance exam. When I did mine, the school I did my entrance, they did not want to take me because my result was very, very poor. Even though I was very, very good in my primary school, I could not cut it in the school I was trying to join. The school at the time was the second best school in the Ikosi area. I think that's the local government of where Shangisha is, right? So they did not want to take us. So my mom just pleaded with them and said, you know what, take us on, blah blah blah. And we joined that school. The first year was the teaching period, but subsequently, from that point on, I was tops, right? So was I always finishing first in the class? No, but I was always top 3 from my second year till the end. Then the challenge for me then was adapting to the new the new sort of learning. You know, you have a lot of smart people in your class, you have a lot of brilliant people around, and you know that feeling that will I be able to cut it like this and everything that comes in and that sets in, and that gives you that, you know, how should I call it, you beat yourself down and you feel you will not be able to, you know, achieve what others are achieving. Somehow, I can't say anything in particular, but one thing I would say is that my mom, she's a no-nonsense person. Everybody that knows my mom knows that she's a no-nonsense person. And she would always compare you with other people. She would say, oh, this person is doing this. Why are you unable to do it? Of course, she will support you while trying to get you to that point. But she will let you know that you are not a superstar, basically. Then I got to SS3 or SS2, and it was time to go for the, typically at the end of SS2, you write I think there's an exam you write. It's different from WAEC and NECO, but it's similar because I think it's WAEC that administers it, right?
GC.
GCE, thank you. And when I wrote mine, I think I got maybe 5 credits and the others were D's and stuff like that. And my mom told me that this WAEC that is even coming, I'm sure you are not going to pass in that WAEC. I can't remember how it was. And she said, go and write it down and whatnot. Of course, for her, it was a challenge for me, right? So we started and everything. As Allah will have it, in my set, right, I had the best results, but wasn't anything fancy. So I will not tell you what the result was. I had maybe a few distinctions and a few C's, like most people or some people, right? But then I was able to get into university. Then I went and showed my mom that you said I will not pass, but I still managed to, and she said, no, it was to motivate you. Then, of course, I got into uni. Uni for me was exciting because throughout my university days, I think I was excellent, largely. But it was not in Nigeria. So, and I think everybody can relate to this. Studying outside Nigeria is a lot easier for a lot of people than studying in Nigeria, right? I know a lot of my friends who are much smarter than me that would struggle a bit because of the Nigerian setting, of course. Now, let me now go to the core of the challenges I have faced since leaving, right? When you are working, especially working in a firm like PwC, you meet a lot of people that are smarter than you, right? A lot of people that are innovative, a lot of people that are creative. So when I joined PwC, my first appraisal actually was a performing as expected. Nobody wants to get performing as expected, right? So when I got that, I did not like it because in my mind I felt I was doing well, but my seniors at the time told me that no, this is our assessment of your work. Unknown to me was that I had some seniors who were saying interesting things about me to other people that I had not worked with. There's this bias that goes around that they just say, this guy, you don't want to work with him, it will spoil your work, right? I don't know if any of us watches a Korean series here. The kind of like this mentality where people are just dissing you for no reason. It's just somebody that just spreads something about you and it goes around, right? So I spoke to one of my mentors at the time. I think it was Alaji Obileye. And I told him that this is what I'm going through and everything. Yes, one will wonder, why did I not go to my parents? Or sometimes it's easier to have these conversations with people that are external, right? And I'll come into where our grand mentor also chipped in, right? In this. So that particular mentor of mine said, you know what, you don't want to be the same as other people. Now, if these people will beat you with their smartness, you want to beat them with your own access to information. So you want to be the guy that anytime somebody says, I need something, they'll come to meet you and they know that once they leave, you either provide them with what they need or you get them closer to getting what they need, right? So what did I start doing? All the mundane things that people would typically not pay attention to, like, okay, what are the printing codes? What are the things you would do? Who would you meet if you need to bind a document? If you want to do research, what are the best websites to get information and things like that? All junior stuff, right? Things that you expect people to know, but people take them for granted. So I made myself that guy. So anytime somebody wants to do all of those things, I just say, you know what, I know where you can find it. And for me, that personally has shaped how I've, grown since then, because I then knew that to be able to get that type of information, I need access. To be able to get access, I need the right team, right? So till now, people that I surround myself with are people that I know will be able to, give me something that the other cannot. So, for example, if I need to discuss issues in finance, for example, because that's not my strong suit, I know a very good guy to go to. One of them is even a mentor on this platform, Hanif Abbas, for example, right? If I need to speak to somebody in IT space, I know a very good person to speak to. If I need to speak to somebody in accounting, in medicine, all of these areas, I know somebody to speak. So when you're asking me anything in any of the areas, I'll tell you, you know what, I don't know, but I'll find out. Or I know, and this is the person you go to. Recently, somebody asked me and said, somebody relocated to Canada recently. They want to see what they can do in the IT space, right? And it's not to brag or anything, but I think that's what today's session is about. And that same day, I was able to link this person with 3 people, right, that would help her take her career from where it currently is to where she wants to go to. Now, it is now the responsibility of the person to take themselves to that to where they are going, right? What have been one major mistake that impacted my career negatively? I would say, because I'm still growing, maybe those mistakes will still come, right? But I can't say there have been any major mistakes per se. I would say that, sometimes it's just about the timing of some decisions. So one thing might be, okay, when I chose to relocate from Nigeria to Canada, for example, you know, a lot of the people around me benefited from the COVID, because a lot of people, got some promotions. So I might be thinking to myself that, okay, when I left PwC, at the time I left, I was one of the key players on my team. That perhaps if I had stayed, maybe now I'd probably be, on my way to directorship or something like that. But all of those things are Allah's qadar, right? So I will not really say that is a mistake per se. One area, because I think I have 2 minutes to go. One area I haven't spoken about, or 2 areas actually, is my relationship with our grand mentor. Now, when I met our grand mentor, and Lighthouse is kind of like an incubation hub, is our CC hub, and that's one beauty about our daddy. But when I met him, one thing that connected us was the fact that the two of us are, well, I will not consider myself an engineer anymore, but because he's an engineer, right? So that liking. And I remember going to meet him because I was I was trying to get a job, and it was not as easy as I thought it would be. You think you come with your abroad certificate and you just get all the jobs. No, it's not the same in Nigeria or anywhere for that matter. But one thing that Alhaji Giwa told me, we call him Daddy Giwa, but I think everybody calls him Alhaji Giwa, told me was his own experience. And he broke it down to me saying that, when he started, it was about, how should I put it now? It started with, I think it was UAC, or the Caterpillar. Daddy, I hope I'm not getting it wrong. Is Alhaji Giwa on the?
Not at the moment, sir.
Oh, not at the moment. Okay.
You are very
It's
correct.
VOC.
I,
It's
You are very
VOC.
correct.
I'm very correct. Okay.
sorry, I'm on the call. Yes,
Okay.
you are getting it right. USA, yes, Caterpillar, you are correct. It's that I'm driving, so that's why I couldn't
Oh,
answer you
okay, okay, no
immediately.
problem. So he basically told me his experience joining Caterpillar, some of the things he did, and that when it was to move from Caterpillar to solar turbines, if I remember correctly, the role he was applying for was not a role that technically you say he was qualified for, but he felt he was ready, and then he put his foot forward and he got the job as the, I think it was the deputy managing director. And this is not a Nigerian company, it's a global company. And he got maybe for the Nigerian arm or anything like that. And of course, that's skyrocketed his career to what it is today. I'm just giving a very brief summary so that I don't run over my time too much, right? That for me was a motivation. So anytime I wanted to do anything, like, okay, I'm having an interview tomorrow, I'll go and sit with Daddy Giwa. Okay, Daddy, maybe if you can just do, and I don't even think Daddy will remember this. Maybe you can just do a mock interview for me. Some of the areas you think might come up. What are the things I can say that can make me excel in this area? And of course, when we are done, we'll come back and give him feedback. And one thing that also struck me with him, and it's a style that I'm also learning, is that when you are leaving, it's not about giving advice all the time. It's about letting the person own their decisions and appreciating the decisions they are making. So you might tell that the giver, okay, I'm thinking of doing this. Like, are you sure about? Are you sure about this? Maybe you want to think about it, but he will not tell you, oh, I think you should do this, do this, do this. No, right? It's about own it, because we all have to be unique and dynamic in our own thinking, because that's what will make us who we are. The final thing I would like to say is that my support thing is basically largely my family, right? My wife is not on the call, thank God, so I can brag about her a lot. She's somebody that I discuss with, and she's a thinker like myself, very, 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 very brilliant, right? So when I'm thinking of any idea, I'm like, okay, you know what, Ami Abi, what do you think about this matter, right? And she'll say, what are you thinking? In fact, when we came to Canada, actually, a lot of the jobs I applied to, she did the applications for me, right? And she knows nothing about the area I'm working in. She just say, you know what, send me your CV. She goes through it and she's okay, we can position it this way, and she would send it. Finally, for me, is that the day you start, because I believe that's the point of this. The day you start, that is your first day, right? Tomorrow now, I might see myself changing industries. When I joined the government of Canada, I work in taxes, by the way, with the government of Canada, right? I did not have any background in taxes. What I knew was in management consulting, right? But when I saw the role, I figured this is something I can do, right? And I applied for it. And alhamdulillah, I got the job and I started doing it, right? Tomorrow, I might start something in insurance, for example. Next tomorrow, I might start something in the food industry. Some of the other things I've gotten myself mixed up with in the last few years, because I don't want to talk about being an employee only, right? My apologies. I said the last thing. I've said that 3 times now, but this is the last thing for real now. I work in as an employee. I have an export company in Nigeria. Are we doing fantastic? No, but are we doing okay? Yes. How involved am I in the export company? Maybe not as involved as I'd like to be, but I believe that I sort of run the think tank team for that company. We also have a factoring company that I'm also actively, well, let me not say actively engaged. I'm engaged in it, and it's one of the leading innovative companies in Nigeria today. I will not name names or point fingers because I don't want to upset some of my friends, but I believe a lot of you will be familiar with the company. It's doing very, very well, right? And we're hoping that in the next few years we'll be very, very rich talking about it. It's also in Nigeria. In the coming days or months, there's a plan to start, inshallah, a takaful-based insurance company here in Canada, right? It's still in the very, very preliminary stages, right? The team is not fully formed yet, but we're already having conversations because we know one challenge we have here in the West is that a lot of the solutions that are available are not easily accessible to us as Muslims, right? We need to then break some of our laws to, access these things. So, do I know if all of these things will be successful? No. Do I know if I'll be a billionaire in the next few years? Absolutely not, right? But we hope. And like I said, the first day you start, or the day you start doing whatever new thing that thing is, that is your first day. And that is what you should, it doesn't matter if you are 40, if you are 50, if you are 60. In fact, I believe retirement is something that government has just put to make us lose our creative ideas. There's no such thing as retirement. You retire when you die. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. So if there are any questions for me, please go ahead and ask.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Abdurrahman Abdurmajid. It was a really, really insightful one. It was fantastic. Jazakumullah khairan for your time. So yes, noting things that you mentioned. Number one, use negative feedback to prepare yourself into greatness. Because I mean, some children would have said, "Do you remember that the mommy is saying I cannot pass this thing? Maybe I should just give up." But then you use it as an opportunity to focus more on your studies, and alhamdulillah, the result was nice. Talk to your mentors. One of the things Dr. Tolha mentioned earlier on was that he didn't make use of his mentors the way he ought to, like at the early stage of his career. And one of the things that actually propelled that skyrocketed what's his name? Sorry, but Mr. Abdurrahman's career sojourn was because he was able to talk to his mentors, he was able to relate with that Giwa and other Jubilee, like he mentioned, be relevant and valuable, just like his experience in PwC showed us. Have the right network, always be prepared because opportunities can come anytime. Have a great support system. Number one, your wife. Be open to new challenges because okay, he mentioned that that happened to him when he chose to work with in taxes where when he got to Canada, and it also happened to our to Daddy Giwa. So it shows that we should always be open to new challenges because they are key to our growth. And whatever you want to do, just start. The first day you're doing it, the first time you do it is going to be your first day. So thank you very much, sir. My first question is, why did you choose to study Malaysia? Why not any university in Lagos? I mean, in Nigeria, let's say for instance, University of Lagos, first choice. Not to brag, but yeah. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm
Is this
here.
my network?
My computer was yeah, was having some glitches. Okay, so why did I
All
decide
right.
to not answer to that is that my parents, I don't know if they will still believe that anyways, had this feeling that if you study in Nigeria, you would go on strike and all of these things, and it would just waste the time that you have. So they felt, if they can afford it, let's send our kids outside Nigeria. So what they did was my elder sister, she started actually in University of Ilorin. She's the only one that tasted Nigerian university. She was there for like maybe one semester or something like that. And then she got this scholarship in Sudan. So she went and then did medicine in Sudan. I was to also go to Sudan. I actually even took the scholarship exam. Alhamdulillah, I was actually second best in the scholarship exam, if I remember. But make no mistake, I'm not a very, very smart guy. I just know how to read sometimes when it is time to read and do it, right? But I did not go to Sudan because my dad at the time felt Sudan, if you want to study engineering, might not be a very good place for you to study. So people around him then were going to were sending some of their kids to Malaysia. Some of them, of course, really rich ones were sending their kids to like US, UK, and the likes. But my dad could not afford it at the time. So he felt, you know what's the next best thing? So he sent me to Malaysia. So it wasn't a decision I really had control over. Did I like it? Absolutely. Because I also did not want to study in Nigeria anyways, but it wasn't like there was any thought process from my end. It was just largely my parents.
Okay, thank you. Actually, it is a very, very great decision because I mean, if I was given the opportunity, I would leave the investor first choice. So yes, does anyone have question before? Okay, I guess not. Thank you so much, Sheikh Jazakallah Karen, for your time. So move on to the next person. Lamentada, are you there? We have Mr. Said Koladi next. Is Lamentada there? Okay, yeah, thank you. So yes, Mr. Said Kolade is an MBA candidate of the University of New Brunswick. I pray I pronounced it well. So I would love to meet you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, you pronounce it well. That's the way we pronounce it. Yeah, University of New Brunswick. Yeah, my name is Saeed Kolade, and I'm really happy to be here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I believe that we have, virtually everyone here is, are Muslims, and we may have non-Muslims as well. But, to my Muslim brethren, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And if we have non-Muslims, I will also say good afternoon to you all. It's still morning where I am, but I believe, largely most of the people here, or good day to you all, because Sheikh, is also speaking from Canada, and I don't know the part of Canada where he is. He might even be a time, behind where I am. Yeah, so good day to everyone. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and I really like what NGM is doing with this session. Why do I like what NGM is doing with this session? Is the fact that more often than not, I think about NGM because if you ask me, one of the things I think most these days is about mentorship, because I'm having some riots in terms of my thought process at this stage of my life. I'm middle age, and somebody says to me some time ago that middle age midlife crisis. So at that point, you might have some riots in your brain. A lot of things will be clashing in your brain, because you are like you are in between the young, so to speak. I consider myself a youth anyway, and the old, right? So, and at that stage, you tend to look at what you have done and you ask yourself, can I change the hands of time? Is it possible to reverse the hands of time? And then when, if you are thinking that way, you then want to, share with people what you think you have learned and what you think are the mistakes, you have made, hoping that someone will learn from that. So when I think about NGM, I think about sessions like this, that people are just not on this platform. They are also having opportunity to relate with the mentors on this platform. Maybe they can learn one or two things. However, to put a caveat, I've listened to everyone. Initially, ordinarily, people like to go first. But for the first time, I realized that going last, especially when you have very brilliant scholars before you, right? You would have learned a lot, and you can even synthesize what has been said, right? So I like the order. And but what I want to say is that for someone like me, I assume that most of the people here, especially the mentees, are relatively young people. And I would say that the experience I would share may not be relevant. Like I said, I'm having some riots happening in my head, because I'm seeing, I believe that we are the dawn of a new revolution, an imagined world order. The AI revolution, for me, it's we can't quantify yet the developments that will come with it. Every day I follow trends, I watch the news in these Western countries, and the kind of things I see, the kind of technologies that are being developed, the kind of things I hear, by virtue of also coming to school at this time, tells me that probably we don't know what has hit us. So if you are talking to somebody like me that has worked for 20 years, I'll probably share some wisdom with you, yes, but then you probably need to be more focused on the future, because I'm also a futurist myself, and I know that a lot will change over the next 10 years. A lot has changed already, and there are days I ask myself, what will be the situation in 10 years' time? I can't even, imagine what we'll witness by that. So that is my caveat. Yes, listen to me, pick one or two things, but then also be focused on the future, be focused on, those things that are the emerging trends, and update yourself. Now, I would then like to quickly also say that I also talk a lot too. So maybe you need to give me that time that I know that I'll be watching from my computer here. So how long do you want, me to speak for? I probably have spoken for 3 minutes already.
Yeah, yeah, you should speak for 20 minutes, sir. And I think you've
Oh,
used 5 minutes.
okay,
Yep.
so I'll try to, yeah, so I have 15 minutes left. Yeah,
Thank you,
so
sir.
I would say that, I listen to Sheikh say he doesn't believe in the Nigerian dream. But as someone who has done investments, who has seen how, how people make money. I mean, I have people that I've worked for 2 decades anyway, and there are people that I've watched how they have progressed in Nigeria, how they've made stupendous money over the last 20 years. I mean, these were just mere people 20 years ago. But by virtue of having the opportunity of working in the capital market for 20 years, I know those guys. Some of them today, you probably see them as richest Nigerian, as this, as that. But for those of us who started our career around the time when their money was starting to pour in, we've seen how they've grown in leaps and bounds. And so there is a Nigerian dream. If you ask someone like that, he will tell you that probably they can never live anywhere else, because the place where you can easily make money is Nigeria. And having lived in Nigeria and the Western world for close to 1 year now, I will tell you there is no by the sites in the Western world. Maybe you can do multiple jobs, like Sheikh has said. You can do multiple jobs, but then it's a lot of work to be able to pay your bills in this country, right? So I will say that there's a Nigerian dream, and that dream is that your 200 million people. The 200 million people we have in Nigeria is actually our dream. Just this morning, I was telling my kids that one of the things we learned in recent times is that the likes of Mark Zuckerberg and all and those see us as products in their business, right? They just see us as products. That's what we are, commodity. All of us using those platforms, we are commodity for Mark Zuckerberg because he's making money out of us being on those platforms, right? So when you should also see that opportunity of living in a country with a 200 million people as a big business opportunity, and there is no limit. And in finance, one of the easiest way, one of the places to make money is on tap grounds, that fresh grounds. You probably come here, it might be difficult for you to make money in this environment, because in this environment, I mean, things are already advanced and there are a lot of regulations in place that you need to, abide with, right, to be rich in this environment. I mean, to make money in this, to do business in this environment. However, in Nigeria, the laws may still be lax. That is a stage of our development. And at a point in time, I'll tell you that whatever Nigeria is going through now, most of those advanced countries, they've gone through that. I mean, I was thinking about people stealing railway tracks recently. And somebody mentioned somewhere that that probably was the situation in America at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, where people are stealing iron and all those things. Maybe some of us, yes, a lot of us don't have hope about Nigeria. And you are also wrong not, I mean, you are not wrong not to have such thoughts, right? But then I'm saying that there are a lot of opportunities. So if you yes, you can go abroad, you can do things, you can learn from them, but don't think there's no Nigerian dream, because you can easily make it in Nigeria. It's even the law of finance: the higher the risk, the higher the return. The lower the risk, the lower the return. These are very low risk environments where I currently live. So I will expect return to be low. Even if we look at bond yields, Nigeria compared to Canada, for instance, Nigeria will probably be around 14, 15% today. Canada will probably be around 4. So that tells you can make more money. Devaluation might be an issue, but I won't go into all that. But I've listened to very interesting conversations on this platform. I listened to our brother Surakat, I listened to Dr. Tola, I listened to Abdurrahman, and these are very interesting conversations, and I think that we've had today, and a lot to learn from it. Now, who am I? I'm Saeed Kolade. My background is economics. I have masters in economics. I'm a chartered stockbroker. I'm a dealing clerk of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And in my nature, I like to study a lot, and I still study. I'm also a CFA candidate, a final level in CFA. I say that to inspire people to know that even at my age, I still study and I'm still aiming to be a charter holder, even when I've probably got to the peak of my career in investment, and I'm not, even if, yeah, I mean, yes, from the level I got to in Nigeria, I would say that I rose to become a CIO, which is probably the highest you can get to as an investment professional, right? But despite that, I still want to be that charter holder. And again, as been said, after working in the finance industry for 20 years, I decided to do an MBA. Why am I doing an MBA? You probably think that, do I really need that? Maybe not, maybe yes, maybe no, right? But I think last year or 2 years ago, I checked my plan for when I get to that mid age, what I want to do. And I realized that my plan is to go into academics at that age, after working for those number of years, to be able to now, do academics and then consult from my industry experience and all that, was the reason why I plan to do that. I checked that 2 years ago, so I said, oh, this is that thing I've not done. So this MBA journey is hopefully a journey to a bigger thing to happen based on that my career plan. So it's more like I'm taking an early retirement to refocus my career, to refocus what I want to do. Yeah. So like I said, I'm a futurist, and I'm happy I'm doing this now because of the fact that I started my work at the earliest day of the globalization and the information technology revolution. But now we are witnessing an AI revolution. So I'm starting another career like, at this down of a new revolution. So it's a great time for me. It's a challenging time for me. And yeah, so, that's the reason why I'm doing an MBA. At times when you come to these, developed countries, you may have culture shock. You may have, I think Sheikh alluded to that. You may have culture shock to the extent that you might start asking yourself, have I taken the right decision? But the most important thing for you is to focus on your goal. Like I said, everybody now when they hear you have traveled, they say, you think I've joined the Jackpot Dragon. It can even be for some of us that have worked in the industry that people feel like, why would you leave? Why would, especially people of my generation, right? It's about career, career, career for us. You can become an ED, you can become an MD, you can become, and the truth is, yes, if I remain in Nigeria, I have all it takes to get those positions. But then everybody has a focus in life. you know, I don't want to work for 30 years, 40 years in industry, and then suddenly I realized I'm no longer as strong as I used to be, and then, I'm not able to do, I then go into retirement and just be waiting for, death, or just be having fun all over the world or something. It's not my plan. It's not what I've planned for my future. So what I'm doing now is deliberate. Is because I've always thought about this. I mean, I wrote this down, in 2007. I think one day I just had a brainwave and I was just writing about my future goal. And I have it stuck somewhere in my wardrobe. And once in a while I bring it out, I look at it. Have I done this? And I realize I've done virtually everything except for one thing. I think I stuck it there that one day I want to memorize the Quran. When you are young and the energy of the deen is burning in you, right? I realize I've not done that. I realize I've also not done this. And that's the reason why I decided to do this at this time. And that's my other goal. I still have it, and I still want to also ensure that. I mean, we have an imam in Lighthouse who is memorizing Quran, at his age, and that is a source of inspiration for any young person. So now, I've told you about my background. I've told you about my area of expertise. I'm a finance person. I've told you, okay, so career journey, what are the challenges faced? I like to tell people one story. And that story, it's, is a story that anytime I think about it, I think about how, Allah has ordered my paths, and how I've also benefited from, from the knowledge the versatility I've built right from my university days. And what is that story? So I started my career on, I started as a teacher actually. I was teaching around Lekki, in the early 2000s after I graduated, teaching around Lekki, doing private home teaching, meeting people and, things like that. And yeah, then I got into insurance. I marketed insurance. My biggest achievement in life, if you ask me, is selling insurance because I sold insurance in Nigeria and I was able to sell it, which most people find difficult. Then I got a formal job for the first time through my uncle in a stockbroking firm. And I worked in that firm for 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 4 months because it was an accounting role and I studied economics. I guess I wasn't cut out for accounting. I got another job as a pure investment executive in another stockbroking firm. How much were we earning in those days? 30,000. Small money. And it was painful because in my days where I had a 2-1, I wanted to work in a bank. There are some stories around that. That's another story, a story for another day, which I won't go into them now for time constraints reasons. I started working in this firm for 30,000. But you know what? When I got into that firm, I was just working on Broad Street. I think my second day on the job, I had this attitude. I grew up in those islands, so I had the attitude of going to newspaper stands and read newspaper and hear old people talk right from when I was much younger. So I passed one of my usual spots, newspaper stand. I saw a book at Marina bus stop, then opposite the church, the Anglican church. I saw how to buy and sell shares. I never know much. Yes, maybe I study economics, you probably do some courses, you have some little knowledge. But when I read that book, I took that book one night, I finished reading that book. The next morning, I was my third day on the work, on the job. I started firing from all cylinders. I had known everything about research, about this, about that, and I spent a year and 3 months earning 35,000 in that company or so, right? By the time I left the company, all my bosses that have worked in the capital market for 15 years, I was a reference point for them, advising them, buy this stock, they will make money. People were like, I became a star. Even the chairman of the company who retired from the CBN, he didn't want me to go. I could see the man shed, had some drop of tears, on his face the day I told him, sir, I'm leaving. And, he said, why are you leaving? I said, well, young person like me, naively, I said, I have to pay my bills. That stuck in my head forever. The man just said, you have to pay your bills. A 60-something-year-old, but I kept on saying that, and he allowed me to go. Maybe that was rude by Nigerian standard, right? I'm just telling him, you can't pay me, please let me go, right? But that same book that inspired me has given me so much, experience and everything. I gathered it. And I was always going to even talk to people who maybe after office hours, I'll go to my friends who are in the bank, sit down in their office, we'll be gisting about capital market. So one of my friends I used to go, a very senior person in one bank in Lagos, their boss, who used to hear me talk. That is how to buy and sell shares. It's just one very simple book. 20 years ago, I'm not sure it's still relevant. I saw your comments, Sharif Alaraba. So their boss was always listening to me. Before you know it, from the Omoshe's office, I started becoming Oga's body. I go and sit down in his office every evening. Oga would listen to me. He was director of corporate services for the bank at that time. I think it was GM Corporate Services. He would listen to me. I never knew that bank had shares in another company, which is a stockbroking firm. That is how that very big man took me to that company. And that has been the propeller for my career. From 30,000, I moved to 110,000 or so. That was, the breaking point for me, like when the leaps and bounds happened. In another 2 years, less than 2 years, I worked in that company. I'd become a star in the capital market. I got another job in another company. So over 2 years, I moved I moved from 30,000 to 300,000 to 600,000. And it just went to, like that to grow in leaps and bounds. But what was I also doing? I was updating myself. I was reading a lot. I was doing all sorts of exams. I was doing CFA. I was doing Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers exam, which was the best exam in my own days, early in my career. I was doing all those things, and it was always making me feel, look relevant for the next job. So I've always been visible in the capital market. because of the fact that I've also always tried to update myself. And people will meet me, talk about, in programs, and they will come to me, Edis, and say, Said, I would like to work with you. Before you know it, I'm in the next company. Before you know it, I'm in the next company. And with that, I've worked probably like 11, 12 companies. I always tell people I've lost count. To tell you the number, maybe I need to store it somewhere in my brain that, this is the number of companies and I need to be adding to it, because I always add to it. Is the reason why I forget when I talk in forums like this. And that was because I've always updated myself. I've always tried to do the exam that is relevant for the day, and also update my experience, update my skills, make my skills top notch. Anywhere I talk, anywhere I walk, they want to say, oh, you are the best I've ever met. Even me, when I feel like, am I really worthy of those things? That's reality. If you are a star, right inside you, you are also having some fight inside you, like, am I that good that this person is praising me this much? You just smile to yourself, I don't think I'm that good. But then people will develop such perception. And it's also important, that perception you live, you may think you are nothing, but you also work on the perception you live with people. When you meet with people, let them know a man of knowledge has just spoken. And that perception, packaging, that we call packaging. Package yourself well, you realize that you will get positions that you don't even deserve. Did I face any challenges? I think I faced some challenges. I think one story I also like to quickly share with you is that, yes, it's also good. Sheikh said something about having a sounding board. It could be your wife, it could be your mentor, it could be, always try to sound something with somebody. So let me give you one example. So there was a time, when the capital market was booming in 2008. I never lost money anyway, because I saw the signs and I think I closed my account and, at the appropriate time. And I remember I was sitting on a table. I was giving margin loans in those days to people that wants to, leverage, their account and borrow money. And I had opportunity to borrow 10 million naira for myself, because even my director felt like, you are making money for people, you should also make money for yourself. But then I was working on a riba desk. That's what it is. And I kept on talking about the fact that at some point I want to leave this job. I want to do something that is more halal for me. And it was like that for me. So if I had to buy shares, I thought I was not borrowing money because I don't want to take the riba for myself. I don't have an option. That was what I was doing at that time, right? And I remember that thing that I was making money for people was almost like, am I being foolish by not also borrowing, as my boss has offered to lend money to me? And I remember I shared that particular thing with my wife one day when I got home. And she just said, but you have your principle, you don't want to take riba, just let it go. It was a painful decision, I just let it go. Lo and behold, capital market crashed some months after. I would have been in deep shit if I had borrowed that money. Maybe I would have sold. But then looking back now, I don't believe I would have sold, because greed, everybody would always be greedy. Maybe my personal account, I sold like 80% before the market crashed. But, I did that and I didn't take that money. And you know what I would have lost if I had taken that 10 million? Greed might have set in, right? So what am I saying in essence is stick to your principles. Stick to your principles. It's tough in today's world. It's even tougher now because, at that point, cultures were not clashing as they are now. There is, this globalization of cultures is happening at this time. Cultures are clashing. You get to a place, you look very odd in those settings. And it's just important you have those basic principles that at every point in time, you stick to. Is there any major mistake that has affected my career? I don't think any major. Like I said, Allah has also ordered my ways. One thing I told my children this morning is that when I was much, my days in the university, I was a good tahajjud warrior. Like my tahajjud was constant. And I had some sheikhs then that tell Allah what you want in your sujood, right? And even if I can't speak Arabic, I will speak Yoruba to Allah when I'm in my sujood, telling him what I want. And I've seen that 99% of the things I prayed for in my university days, Allah has accepted them. If there is anything that he has not accepted, maybe one or two, but then I'm grateful for what he has done for me. Are there things I could have done better? Maybe when I was much, I have some fantasies, and it's a fantasy for me because I'll call it a fantasy. What is that fantasy? That fantasy is that I wanted to work in those big four. In those days, with 2-1 economics, those are the kind of jobs you wanted. I did PwC, KPMG test. I wasn't successful. I felt so bad. Like, oh, why did this happen to me? Blah, blah, blah. You know, and I still have that fantasy. And if you ask me, if I finish in Canada today, if I get an associate director job or something senior in PwC or any of these places in Canada, I think I will still do it because it's just a fantasy for me. I believe that I would, maybe if I had gone through that path, I might have even gone faster because of, the things I know now, right? I might have gone faster in my career, maybe. Another thing that I would think, if I look back, I would say, oh, I didn't do this. Was also at that time, I wanted to go, hoping that I'll get a foreign scholarship to school in one of those Ivy Leagues. And I believe I had all it takes then, but that didn't happen. So looking back, I will also say that maybe if I had done that, it would have also helped me. But then the most important thing is, as I told my children this morning, everything we do, right, we should not leave prayers. Allow others' ways, right? And, you will see that you will order your way. Now, some little tips about what should be the future. Like I said, I'm a futurist. All these things I've told you was like the past. The future is what I'm more concerned with. So I like it when people are talking about mechatronics, they are talking about technology, they are talking about, the things for the future. And I've really been thinking, reading a lot about the jobs for the future. It's what I'm passionate about now. If I'm to do a PhD today, I'll probably do PhD around those kind of things, innovation, futurism, and all that, right? Is what I'm passionate. So really, that future, it's very important. You need to start looking at those things. You need to start following the trends and don't be a commodity for a people. Try to be the innovator yourself. Be, problem solving, critical thinking, those are skills for the future. And you really need to be big on it. And when you are big on it, make sure you try to also bring out ideas that can be of commercial value. No idea is small. Now people are creating products around everything. One day I saw a video about the only thing technology will not do for you is that it will not put food in your stomach or cook food for you, and somebody will send you food through technology. Who knows? I mean, who says it can't happen? There is no limit to what we can achieve with what is happening now, right? And we just have to be thinking why we need to have that problem-solving attitude, critical thinking, and be thinking about how I listened to Dr. Toля and I was really impressed. For the first time, I share his views on hustle and all that. I am a capitalist when it comes to certain things, right? And I have those strong views. And really, I was really impressed that he just didn't sit, Ordinarily, when I saw that he was lecturing in Mina, and this is me talking, being frank, I was like, Mina, you need to be in Lagos when you have those kind of degrees. But then I was impressed by the time he started talking about how he's still able to follow innovations, follow things, do things in Mina. I was really impressed. Like, yeah, this is how things should be. I mean, it's only in Nigeria that you think if you are not in Lagos, you can't be successful. The reality is that in the city where I live, is one small city in New Brunswick, which is not one of the big provinces of Canada, right? You still have people that are living in this city that are selling their technologies all over the world, right? So really, I mean, there is no limit to what we can do from wherever you sit now. So I know I've spent like 9 minutes extra. Maybe at this point, more than the time I'm allotted. Maybe at this point, I will just cut it short here. Yeah, but I will say that think about the future more, follow the trends, don't be a commodity. Make sure you are also a creator yourself and create product that other people will be your own commodity. That's, I believe, and I think if you do that in a country like Nigeria, 200 million people, think about those ideas that can be of commercial value. The sky will be your limit. Healthcare is also one industry that people are looking at. COVID has taught us that we need more doctors in the world, probably than more. Some people are saying some things these days, right? Like the city where I live now, they are looking for doctors everywhere. I'm in timing with their biggest healthcare authority, and I sit in their HR because I'm fortunate to be doing a project in their HR, and I listen to them talk, and I know that really, if these guys get 600 doctors today, they'll probably employ them. They just employ 600 nurses from all over the world. And so that tells you that those are, those kind of things. I just gave that is a side. That one is by the side. I'm just saying that we focus on those future things, right? Because some of the things now, some of the courses you are studying now may not be relevant in the next 10 years. So you need to really be focused on those things that will be relevant in the future. We are at the dawn of a new revolution, and the kind of things that will come with this revolution, we don't really know. You want to make sure you are well positioned to be successful in this emerging world order. So that would be my talk. Thank you everyone for listening to me. I know I could be a rouser at times. I know I might have done that, but please just pardon me. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wow, I feel so full at the moment because, like, thank
You
you so
mentioned
much,
four
sir.
people, so you should be over full.
Do you get? Thank you so much, sir, for sharing from your wealth of experience. One thing about Mr. Said Kaladi that I know of is that when you get to hear him speak, your notes will be filled up. That's it. And we're so grateful to have you on the NGM platform, sir. So, a few points that I noted while you were talking is number one, stay informed, be informed, because one of the things that helped him navigate his career path was that he's always informed. Right now he's currently trying to be informed. Is why he's taking an MBA degree, right? So it's just that whatever we do, we need to be up to the latest trend. We need to be futuristic, and we need to stay informed. Number two, knowledge is a never-ending cycle. We all know these Islamic sayings that said you should learn from from cradle to grave. So there's no end to, okay, I'm done with my master's, I think I can rest. I'm done with my PhD. No, continue to learn. Three, focus on your goal. And this focus on your goal, one of the things that helped him to, focus on his goal was because he had a vision board. And this is a topic that we've explored on NGM platform. I think we had a session on it about twice or so, that we should always have a vision board that covers maybe, okay, um let's say 2 years plan, 5 years plan, 3 months plan. It really helps us to, stay focused on our goals. Number, I've lost count, but yeah, be inquisitive, read books, join our book review sessions as well, because they're always relevant. Be relevant wherever you are. Ensure you thrive no matter where you are. Not just, don't look at your don't be limited to your environment. Don't feel like, okay, I'm in this particular place, I think I can't progress. I mean, look at the lecturer from Mina. You see Mina, you'll be like, nah, that's a dead area, that's a deserted place. But alhamdulillah, I mean, the man is thriving. So tell Allah what you want in your search. That one, it is sure thing, it works for everyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answer our prayers. Another one is stick to your principles, no matter how enticing whatever it is that will compromise our principle is. Ensure you stick to your principle because it helps. And most especially, stick to Islamic principles, because when Allah says don't do this, trust me, his wisdom is incomprehensible. I think that is all. Be inquisitive. Yeah, that is all from my side. Thank you so much, sir. I don't have questions. You'll be shocked to hear that. But I don't have questions because I'm over full. Does anyone have a question? You can send it to the chat box quickly before we move on. I guess not. So, okay. Now that we've learned, thank you so much, our mentors, really. We appreciate you guys coming on board, teaching us this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to increase your knowledge, make you progress in your career, in your career field, and bless you and make you a light for us. Really, it is really, really nice to know that we can approach many of these mentors and they help us navigate our career path. Thank you so much, everyone. And as usual, the NGM platform is always bringing the best recipe. We're always cooking something nice, yeah. And we've cooked something. Oh, sorry. Someone has a question. Let us quickly address that. Thank you. What is the average number of years you spent in the companies you worked in? Okay, sir. Mr. Said, I think the question is for you. Are you
Yeah,
there?
so very early in my career, I think averagely I spent like 1 year, 6 months. But my last three jobs in Nigeria, I spent a total of I think 11 years. Yeah, from yeah, maybe my last four jobs. So really, I moved around when I was much younger in my career. I was just doing pim, 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 6 months, 1 year. But when I got to that promised land, that I thought, oh, this is a company that I like to be tagged to my name, which was FDN Capital. where I work as an asset manager. At the time when asset management was in its infancy in Nigeria, was still relatively new. I was one of the first set of asset managers in Nigeria. Then what people were doing was stockbroking, but I was managing assets. When I got there, I think I was there from 2007 to 2011. I did almost 4 years in that company. Then I moved to the pension industry. My first job in the pension industry, that was 1.5 years or so. Then I worked in another company where I worked for 5 years. I worked in another company. My last job in Nigeria was for 4 years, exactly 4 years, and I left that company. Right. So really early in your career, you move around, but then it's a pyramid, right? It's a pyramid, right? So as you go further in your career, it might probably affect you when if you start to move pim 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 like that. But early in my career, I think I was using an average of 1 to 1.5 years in companies where I worked. But my last three jobs or so, I spent quite a significant amount of time in those companies because those were senior positions, and you can't abandon the ship when you're a senior manager. You know what I mean? Yeah, easily like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for answering the question. Sheriff, I hope I hope that's okay. Now, so back to what I was saying. As usual, we all know that NGM is always cooking things for us to, like, just like the mentor, our mentor earlier, our grand mentor earlier mentioned that for us to be able to, yeah, grow, irrespective of our level in our career sojourn. So we have a revelation. Trust me, it is not Quran verse. We have something to announce, and I would love to call Mohammad Aliyu to do that. Thank you very much for having me.
Much Azizat. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope that our day is unfolding beautifully well. So some of us might have caught the wind of this on the group chat. We have a new mentor joining us, and the mentor is someone most of us would know before now, Mr. Abdugafar Abudu, and he has over 8 years of experience. He's currently a drilling engineer at Oriental Energy, and he has experience in project management, strategy. He loves playing football, and he's married. So just in addition to saying that we have a new mentor joining us, I'd like for us to know that um, we are trying to say that most of the mentees have like office hours with the mentors. So what it basically means is that you can reach out to a mentor and schedule time with them. It's important. We've all heard the importance of talking to our mentors and being guided by them so as to help us excel in our careers. So I just say that let's try as much as possible to schedule time with us. Those of us who are going into the energy space, also those of us who want to learn about strategy, project management. Um, Here's another mentor for you to talk to advise, and you never know. Just keep in touch, and opportunities will show themselves. So this is what we've been cooking. We've not been cooking rice. We've just been trying to see that we are more mentors, so that as the mentee base grow, we'd have more mentors to be able to serve the mentees and to be able to have a mutual relationship, basically. Thank you very much. Thank you, Azizat. Over to you.
Okay, cheers to that. Thank you so much, Mohammed. So, quick one before we have something short from our new mentor. Um, there's a broadcast that we must have received. Now I'm talking to NGM members. Before Latifa come you kill me. You have to fill NGM members database form, and she has sent it to everyone's DM. Kindly fill it. This thing, because I mean there are some people that they feel they don't have mentors for their own career path on the platform. So it is important we get to know you what it is that you want to like do in the future, so that we can assign mentors to those fields, inshallah. So please kindly do that. And yes, we want Mr. Abudu, are you here, sir? Our new mentor, Mr. Abudu. Oops.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, welcome, salam to Abarakatu. Thank you so much for joining. So, I would love to hear you say a few words to the mentees, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. Congratulations once again.
Bismillah, okay, thank you. Bismillah. It's really nice to be one of the mentors. Well, I'm honored. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I want to thank Malaji Kiwa especially for this opportunity and for having me on the NGM platform and now as a mentor. I hope that I can contribute my quota and guide younger people as regards my area of expertise in the oil and gas and then in the choice of career. Um, I've listened to fantastic mentors give their profile, but I don't think I have that time and preparedness to give mine at the moment. Maybe later in the future, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, sir, for that. We are so pleased to have you as our mentor as well. So, yeah, we've come to the end of today's session. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward every we reward the mentors for gracing this session, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to be able to implement the lessons we've learned, because I mean they are invaluable. So guys, it is not about learning, it's not about hearing this, it's not about saying wow, how did you do this. It is about you starting whatever it is that you have to start for you to be able to progress in your career just like they did. And as usual, remember you have access to these mentors, so schedule call with them, talk to them, let them know what's up so that they can help you. Bismillah. And that is all from me. I don't know if that give us, yeah. That give, do you have anything to say? Thank you all for joining. Jazakumullah khairan.
Yeah, I actually to say a big thank you to everyone, Aziza, for the great job you've done, and many thanks to the LE&I team. It's another successful one. Wow, listening to the mentors is great. So may Allah continue to elevate you all. May Allah continue to bless what you do,
Okay.
and may Allah continue to reward you for all you do for us in MDA and Islam in general. Jazakumullah khairan. See you all next week for the book review session. Jazakumullah khairan.
Don't miss the book review, guys, because I mean it's going to be another hot one, inshallah. Now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bye.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.